What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Week 4 recap, Week 5 preview, super delayed edition of the Fantasy Boys League. This week, we're going to come out with our first power rankings. We're 1/4 of the way through the season, so we're going to do a quick recap of each game, argue the power rankings, and then do a little mini preview since it already is past Thursday night. So, first game up, I was facing off against Kramer. He got his butt kicked, just like everybody called.
There's nothing else to go for with that. Pat
Nope.
Mahomes not throwing a fucking touchdown and the Chiefs turning the ball over like 5 times. It was a classic game.
Yeah. My running backs have been doing what they did all year. Lamar Jackson went off. Aguilar sucked. So, not much.
Starting him again this week. Let's go, boys.
Yep, not much could have happened for you. So, good game, Kramer.
Mm-hmm.
We got Kyle against
GG,
Dylan.
easy clap.
Kyle with 133-92 win. Dylan is just not good at fantasy football. Kyle came through. Todd Gurley finally showed up. Chris Carson showed up. I mean, they're showing up again this week. Spoiler alert, I'm playing him, and I'm not excited. And then Dylan, on top of everything else, Devontae Adams is out after having one good week in which nobody else on his team showed up. The Patriots defense with 27 points. Another thing I'm not looking forward to this week, with them probably scoring 80 points on Colt McCoy.
The top 20 overall fantasy play.
Yeah.
New England defense.
Jesus. Then we got Cameron going up against AJ. AJ showing up strong,
Rip.
0-4. Dak Prescott, the 1 week he needed him to actually score points to win a game, he doesn't. Mark Ingram, Sony Michel are jokes. Mike Evans and Robert Woods are looking okay, I guess. Will Fuller, every week you convince me to think he's an okay player, and then he does this every single week.
If there's ever a week, like, do I need to sell you on this? Do I
No.
need to do this again?
I'm playing him.
Roll the fucking dice, baby. Let's go.
All right, but I will say if AJ would have played his cards right, put Jarvis Landry in there, put Darrell Williams in there, you might have won. I'm not going to do the math. Cameron side, Kamara didn't really show up, but he got enough from Galladay. Hooper, who played amazing, and overall just had an okay week.
Hooper played good enough. It almost could have won somebody some money.
Oh, yeah.
If you think about it.
All right, I'll Venmo you after this. Lake.
He would have won too, by the way, if he would have had them in.
Lake, our resident taco first year playing, is 4-0, just like everybody predicted, with the weakest win we've had so far in the Fantasy Boy Leagues, 104-94. Nobody played well on either team. I don't think anyone hit the 20-point mark. The Chicago Bears defense did, just like everybody expected. Shout out to the Vikings.
Jesus Christ. Jordan Howard, 31 points on the bench. Jared Goff, solid game on the bench.
I mean, I guess, like, to Lake's credit, he had a better overall roster, but he did sneak out the win. That's all that matters. So he goes to 4-0, and Ryan goes to 3-1. Really an odd battle of two undefeated teams right there, with both of them scoring.
Doing shit.
Yeah. Andrew against AK. AK demolished him. The highest points, I think, week for this week, 149-101. Nick Chubb was crazy. Really disappointed I took him out of my DraftKings lineup. He even had negative points from Delaney Walker and still put up basically 150. Thanks to Gallman. Sly had 14 points. The Texans defense went off. Jacobs had an okay week. Didn't get that touchdown, but just everybody on the team played well. Meanwhile, Andrew, he basically had Aaron Rodgers and nobody else. So, and then looking at the benches, nobody of note. And with our final game, Tony, with his first win of the year against
Hell yeah.
Hunter.
Golf clap.
1-3 squad, baby.
Shout out to Jacoby Brissett with the 29 points. James Conner came through with 22 points. Shout out to Jalen Samuels, his quarterback.
Yeah, how can you play a quarterback in the flex? I thought this was...
Cortland Sutton had 21. Michael Thomas 14. You actually didn't really have that bad of a week with 125. Hunter, meanwhile, had Christian McCaffrey, and yeah, he had Christian McCaffrey on his roster. That's it. On the bench, it's amazing that you could have a 1-3 team and you somehow find a way to bench Chris Godwin.
He wasn't
Or
supposed to
fucking
play.
real, dude.
He wasn't supposed to play, but he did.
He was definitely supposed to play by midday.
Yeah, well, I have to start people in the morning.
It's okay if they didn't take away that DJ Chark touchdown. I would say they're like you made the right move playing DJ Chark over Chris Godwin, like logically speaking. If you couldn't tell, that was sarcasm. Anyway, that concludes the recap. A quick little 6.5 minute. Usually they're 20 minutes long, but we want to get through this rather quickly. So we're going to review the standings, and then I'm going to reveal my power rankings. Just going through the waiver wire really quick. Andrew got Jalen Samuels, a quarterback at running back for $14. Originally, he was a tight end at running back. Now he's a quarterback at running back. It's just, he's all over the place. Jameis Winston, only for $7 to Hunter. A little surprising there. Auden Tate.
He dropped Mitch. That's the more surprising thing.
He dropped Mitchell Trubisky. Well, they found their starter in Chicago, so it makes sense. Auden Tate, $6. Naeem Hines, $6. Tennessee Titans defense for $4. Last time I talked shit about a defensive spend, it bit me in the ass, so I'm not going to say anything. Robbie Gould for $3. That's ridiculous. I can't say something about that. And then I think Jason Myers, we already know, scored like 11 points this week, so it doesn't even make sense. Dante Pettis added for free on Kramer's roster. Not a bad hold. So, the standings. Your king, the Church of Gordon, is at first at 4-0 with 577 points. The most points in the league with the least points against. That is a winning formula.
Fucking classic bullshit.
You're right. All I have to say is you guys need to start drafting defense, right? Like, you're giving up way too many points per game. I got a run-stopping linebacker, a killer secondary.
You drafted Bobby Wagner early.
I did. Lake actually has a second. I mean, this league, at least the top half.
No money spent on his
Hashtag this
fab.
league.
Like,
No money spent on Fab. Probably no moves throughout the year. He's just riding the
He's made
elite
moves,
team he
just
drafted.
the ones I told him to.
that was like, this is
I
like
told him
Dr.
to start
Jekyll.
Geronimo Allison this week, and he fucking put up a decent game. So or
Yeah,
last week, whatever.
he had draft help from Kramer. Kramer was like Dr. Jekyll, who was like extremely wasted on draft night.
Oh, yeah.
And Dr. and his brother Lake was like high.
I just gave
who was
him,
the
like,
sober.
Yeah, I just gave him my solid advice and then just went fucking insane with my own roster.
We got AK at third with 529 total points. His team is looking solid. Ryan 517, PJack 516. Kyle is doing well. Then we see kind of a little bit of a tier break. We have Cameron and Hunter at 2 and 2. Both of them with, middle of the way point totals. Kramer at 485 at 1 and 3. A little unfortunate
Classic.
there. Andrew 431 1 and 3. I would say at 431 that looks good compared to his roster. Tony 402, AJ 446. AJ complains a lot about how my team's so good and so many people score points against me at 603 points against.
And
But
the 600 point club is
I
pretty
guess
elite.
it's only 5. Yeah, that's pretty fucking bad. 600 points in 4 weeks.
But this is the
Jesus
thing.
Christ.
When you don't get to play yourself and lower that
You have
point
less
total,
than 100 points scored against you per week. That's fucked up.
Bro, you
I mean,
don't even
I
have
contributed
600.
to it.
again, because I have the best roster, statistically speaking, I never play myself, so I have less points against because I don't have to deal with it. Then we have
Just saying,
Dylan.
technically, I played teams that are better than you. Apparently,
I
scored
scored
more
like
points
a
than you.
third
Yeah.
of the points against AJ. That's pretty funny.
That's funny. Dylan, I'm going to go ahead. You know what? Take that taco hat off your brother. We're putting it on Dylan. Dylan's the freaking taco of the league. His moves have been questionable at best. His drafting, obscure at best. And his performance is terrible at best. So, let's go over the custom power rankings from your commissioner, Matthew. We got all 4 of us here to argue them. We all know who's number 1. Like, we all saw this one coming.
Lake.
Yeah.
No. Motherfucking Corgi, the Church of Gordon, number 1. I'll give a quick reasoning. Obviously, I'm in first place. That's a big help. Dalvin Cooks looked incredible. Melvin Gordon is back. I still have Joe Mixon. I'm very confident in my wide receiving core. And then the Lamar Jackson Mark Andrews combo has been deadly so far, and they still have a pretty favorable schedule. So I just think my team looks rather good. You know, Brett Maher is killing it at the kicker position, just an elite kicker.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh my
Jerking off your
God.
kicker position.
Exactly. I got Miles
Fucking kidding
Sanders
me?
off the waiver wire. Be honest, any arguments for me being first right now in the power rankings?
No, but it's
No.
going to be funny whenever Adam Thielen never gets
It's gonna
the
be
volume
funny
he
when
got
you
last
lose this
year,
week and my
Sammy
brother is
Watkins-
fucking number 1 overall.
I don't. I hope that doesn't happen. All right, so we all agree with that one. This is where I think we're going to start getting into a little bit of controversial territory. Number 2, P-Jack Kyle. He's down there at 516. He's 3-1, currently in 5th place, but he is 3-1. Todd Gurley, Chris Carson, I think have underperformed,
Yeah.
and I think they're going to do really well. Again, he kind of has a lot of players I like. Stephon Diggs and Juju Smith-Schuster, I both feel, are going to have better years ahead of them. I think the controversy of Stephon Diggs kind of going to pass. I still think he could be a wide receiver 1 rest of the season. Juju, I'm not as happy about him because Mason Rudolph isn't a good quarterback, but it's still Juju Smith-Schuster. He's elite. O.J. Howard has to perform. Carson Wentz has been very consistent. New England Patriots defense, as Tony has mentioned, probably will end up a top 20 non-QB player in our league. So he basically gets a free plus 20 every single week, or plus 15 every single week because of how good the Patriots D has been. Greg Zuerlein's an elite kicker. Again.
Oh my
We're
God.
gonna-
Fucking
and then
missed the kick. Greg, no. It's
The-
fine. I wanted the Hawks to win.
the one
Can't.
the one weakness for sure is the bench is not great, but he did get a quarterback at running back in Jalen Samuels, like I said. So,
And Rashad Penny could become more valuable, too, if they start heading more in his
He
direction.
has Chris Carson, so it's a little-
It's a trade-off.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a trade-off, too, I guess.
Paris Campbell, I think, might come back and be pretty involved, actually. But
Yeah.
we will see. So he's my pick for number 2. Number 3, we have Live Love AK.
Disrespected my brother.
Wow. Yeah, I thought your brother, Dr. Pooh's would.
I love Nick Chubb on his team. Julian Edelman, Alshon Jeffrey are decent plays. Walker's okay, but Josh Jacobs, I think after this week in Chicago, he's gonna have tons of value. He really just hasn't gotten the touchdowns, and I think they're gonna start to come. I think he's finally gonna start getting more involved in the passing game. I know that I say that every week. Last week, I don't think he had any targets, but he did. He had 2 targets for 29 yards against Indy, but he ran a lot more routes, and that's more telling on how he's gonna be used. He was playing Jason Witten in his flex position.
Yeah, he's getting screwed with buys this week. I think he probably wishes that he would have played Metcalf, but at this
Like
point, I
his-
mean, it's Madison or
screwed
Witten.
with like a bye.
Yeah, well, he's got
Singular by.
he has so many good running backs in my opinion with Carrion, Jacobs, Chubb, and he picked up Gallman, who's going to be pretty good sides this week against the Vikings. Kenny
And then he's
Stills,
not
the
going to play
new
next week because Saquon's going to be back.
Kenny Stills is the new number 2 in Houston, so that's valuable. And if Dalvin Cook goes down, he's going to win this league, and I'm going to be screwed. So
You cannot be spouting misinformation on a fantasy podcast. Kenny Stills has 14 targets in 4 games. He is not a number 2.
all right, and finally, we're going to talk about Ryan because he's number 4.
Oh, my God.
Deshaun,
Disrespect.
Deshaun
He's
Watson.
got more points scored than all those guys.
Deshaun Watson, LaShawn McCoy, Aaron Jones, Hopkins, Cooper, DJ Moore, Damian Williams. That is a killer lineup. I would argue that's probably top 3 this week for sure. Jeffrey Wilson's not going to be useful on his team. Neither will Jamal Williams. Marvin Jones, though, great player. Deshaun Jackson, great player. I think he has very good depth at the wide receiver position, and he should be worried at running back when he's got 3 solid starters. I think the combination of Damian and McCoy, they're still going to put up. I mean, we saw it with Darrell Williams and McCoy. They're putting up 15 and 15, no problem. So, very solid baselines for those guys. And then his wide receivers are rather explosive. Really confident in this team. And then we move on to 5th. We finally get to Lake. Russell Wilson
Disrespect.
had his himself a week. He does have the Keenan Allen OBJ stack. Looks great. Evan Ingram, really good tight end. David Johnson, he looks pretty valuable this year. Derrick Henry looks okay. Frank Gore has another week of usefulness because Singletary continues to be out. Geronimo Allison has playability because Adams is out. Jared Goff on his bench, so he gets to switch him and Russell in and out. Not a bad combination. Justice Hill, one of the best running backs in the league. Dion Lewis, Golden Tate, Ted Ginn, Jordan Howard. Big part of this, no offense to Lake, you are a first-time player. I'm a little worried about the moves you're going to make. I think he's going to have to make some moves because
His
kind
bench
of
is pretty weak.
it's a desperate bench. I don't think Ted Ginn, Dion, Justice Hill are playable. Now, Jordan Howard is, and Golden Tate might be playable. Our league
He
is.
probably will be.
Yeah.
I think he will be.
But I mean, the volume of his starters is like, Russ has been an absolute stud this year. David Johnson's getting a shit ton of volume. So is Henry. OBJ is not doing as good as he should be, but Keenan Allen's been
Allen's number
insane.
one.
That might fall off. Evan Ingram's got an insane volume, so he's got a lot of like high volume players on his team, which
It's a good
are
fucking
kind of just
team.
like, just kind of set and forget,
Man, looking at
which
all
is
your,
perfect for a player that doesn't make any fucking moves.
I'll be honest, looking at everybody's roster is making me so happy about my roster. Like, holy crap, my team's so much better than your guys's. Moving on to numbers.
I can't wait till Karma just like
Yeah,
you
can't.
like
He's
pray
gonna
for the
lose
health.
week one
Pray
of the
for
playoffs.
the fucking health of your like starters because Karma's gonna like come back so hard on these fucking on your
Yeah.
fucking
Well,
team.
because I'm making these claims, I will trade literally every pick in next year's draft and just draft nobody if I have to win. Kramer, you're coming in at number 6. You're passed up Hunter and Cameron. You do have more
I was gonna
points than
say.
them, to be fair. Mahomes, Zeke, Cooper Kupp, Travis Kelce. That's just a very solid 4 at each position. I mean, you have probably the number 1 at 4 different positions, to be completely honest. Like, I think Cooper Kupp very well can finish the number 1 wide receiver. Kelce, he should finish the number 1 tight end. Zeke very likely finishes, if not number 1, in the top 3, and then Mahomes is going to be number 1 QB. No question about that. You've made really good decisions at the on the waiver wire with Dorsett, Cole Beasley. They're very startable. I don't know about Nelson Aguilar. Looking at your bench, not ideal. Kind of the same problem that we saw with Lake, where I don't think Murray.
There's just no one out there, man.
None of these guys are playable. But when AJ Green comes back, you're gonna rise up the points for. You're gonna rise up the standings until he gets injured 2 weeks after he comes back. So.
Yep.
Oof.
That's why I'll play him for like a week and then trade him for some running back depth.
All right, and now number 7 may surprise a lot of people. It's a team that doesn't have a win, and it's going to be AJ's team. I was giving him a lot of
Pander pick.
I was giving him a lot of shit, but Dak Prescott has played great. He had one off week. Mark Ingram is going to be solid week in and week out. He was one of the few guys I was definitely wrong about. Evans, Woods, great combo at wide receiver. Now, Sonny Michel's where we start to worry. Ertz isn't being himself. Will Fuller finally maybe have a good week. But I think between Matt Breida and Sonny Michel, you constantly are going to have a good RB2. Not to mention you picked up Ronald Jones. And you have Saquon.
Fuck Ronald Jones.
So
pick him up, play him the 1 week against fucking .9.
AJ's running back depth is great, and I'm sure you can figure out wide receiver between Gallup, Jarvis Landry, Evans. Like AJ, by the end of the season, is going to have a pretty damn decent points for. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Starting out 0-4 is hard, and this week is going to be hard to win. If you can survive, maybe go 2-5 and then win out, you have a chance. This is the thing, though. This is a power rankings. Your team is great. It's still going to be hard for you to make playoffs.
I know.
Number 8, we're moving on to Hunter Westbrook. Recently
Yes.
dropped Mitchell Trubisky. Christian McCaffrey, again, another guy I'm locking in for a top 3 running back position. Him, Zeke, and Cook. As long as they are healthy, they're going to be the top 3 in my opinion. Marlon Mack has looked great. It looked like a really good pickup. Tyler Lockett's played great. Disley is going to be a top 5 tight end this year. I don't know if that's a hot take, but there you go. The worries begin when you look at flexing. Lindsey and Hardman, not great, but the fact is he does have Tyreek Hill waiting. Once he gets back, he's going to be in a very good position. Allen Robinson has played better than expected. Devin Singletary is going to be coming back. The rotation between Kyler and Jameis is going to be good. Marquise Goodwin, just throw him out the window. Robbie Anderson. We don't know what's going to happen when Sam Darnold comes back. I think that actually might change it. If Robbie Anderson also can be relevant with Sam Darnold, his team is looking pretty damn good. TJ Hawkinson's useless. He should just drop him. But don't listen
I
to
like
my
Hunter's team a lot. But have you guys ever seen those viral tweets where it's like, tweet something that you would never tweet so people know if you're in trouble? Like, I feel like we should check in on Hunter since he dropped Mitch. Like, is he like...
Oh, shit.
Is that a warning
Suicidal or
sign?
something?
Yeah.
Right? Like, was that a red flag? Was that a signal?
You know what?
Also, his team is dirty.
You know what? Looking at Hunter's team, I'm making an on-the-fly adjustment and moving Hunter up to 7 and moving AJ down to 8.
You just convinced him.
Thank you, AJ.
Bro, his team is good.
Yeah.
I fucking love Philip Lindsay. I think he's gonna have so many good weeks.
Bro, Royce Freeman's the real back to own there.
No, you
Royce
guys are
Freeman's the
crazy.
passing back.
You guys are crazy.
Royce Freeman is a better football player than Philip
No,
Lindsay.
he's not.
He is.
100%.
100%.
Oh my God, no, he isn't.
Royce
I'm
Freeman has more
nuts.
targets than Philip Lindsay, I'm pretty sure.
Dude,
Isn't
Philip
that
Lindsay
like-
is good. Like, it's so crazy.
You're right.
Fuck Colorado. Fuck that college.
Oh, shit.
my
Tony. All right. We're moving on. We're keeping everything calm. Cameron coming in at number 9. There's going to be no changing here. Alvin Kamara looks like, I guess, a better pick than Saquon, but it's not looking great without Drew Brees there. He's being leaned upon quite a bit, but the thing is, Teddy Bridgewater somehow makes Kirk Cousins look less of a trash pickup for the Vikings because of how, oh my God, the checkdowns, that 16-yard sack when they're in field goal range. Ugh.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Devontae
Take
Freeman.
the fucking gloves off your goddamn hand, you moron. You're a quarterback.
Mark MVS is going to be a good play until Adams comes back. Devontae Freeman, I think, has a better second half. Tyler Boyd's going to be a great play this week. Hooper, as we've talked about, has played well. So, starting lineup's okay. T.Y. Hilton's great. Tariq Cohen, don't know why he's in there. That's a little odd. Oh, wait, it's because he has nobody left. Malcolm Brown is not reliable. Justin Jackson's useless. Drop him. Naeem Hines. I really don't. I think even if Marlon Mack was out, Naeem Hines doesn't get the volume you would want. Like, he'd be playable. But
No, it'd be Jordan Wilkins.
Wilkins would be most
plays.
of the running plays. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hines would go up a little bit for passing, but not enough to be relevant. And then Kenny Galladay's a good pickup. Overall, solid middle-of-the-road team. I think it just kind of depends how they...
Middle of the road is good for 10th in this league.
Well, I'm not excited about it. That's the thing. I don't see potential here to really win the league. I don't see the explosion needed, if that makes sense. Like, the ability to absolutely go off. I mean, it's there with Kamara, and then that's pretty much it. I mean, Hilton might have his weeks, but everyone else is kind of a good week for him. It's like, oh, they scored 15 points.
Yeah.
Moving on, Tony is in 10th. Jacoby Brissett, James Conner, Montgomery, Marquise Brown, Chris Godwin, the best player on his team. Eric
The
Ebron.
hot piece of ass trade piece.
Cortland Sutton's looking a little bit better. Michael Thomas is looking a little bit worse because of Teddy Two Gloves Bridgewater. Decent
Fucking gloves.
decent starting lineup. Not excited about James Conner, David Montgomery at the running back position. And then you take a look at the bench, and I imagine you are sitting there praying every night to the only God you know that Tevin Coleman's the primary back when he comes back.
Yeah.
I concur.
You're also praying to every God you know that Leonard Fournette fails to show up for the team photo shoot again, so Raquel Armstead has some good value for a couple weeks.
Wait, you have Raquel Armstead as your...
I think that's a good
roster?
player. Last week he scored
He had
12 points.
What?
Yeah, Raquel
Oh, I
Because
mean,
of
he
a
had
because of a
zero basically
touchdown.
every other week, but...
And then, of course, Kenyon Drake is going to get traded to... I don't think anyone's going to trade for him. Never mind.
The Texans.
That doesn't
That
make
would be
sense.
fucking great for Drake. But
Yeah. And then Chris Thompson obviously a bench play against New England, but I guess he's a solid if you have to flex option. And finally, ay caramba, Dylan.
Dildo, what
Tom
you doing,
Brady,
man?
Rex Burkhead, Leonard Fournette, Mike Williams, Sterling Shepard. He's got Darren Waller, right? Right, guys? Devontae Adams is hurt, like we said. Duke Johnson. Oof. His best player in his starting lineup right now is Justin Tucker. Looking at his bench, he's waiting for Kareem Hunt to come back for
Antonio
some reason,
Brown.
even though Nick Chubb is still going to...
Fucked him.
On top of everything, Antonio Brown is out of the league. He's going to the XFL. John Ross is on injured reserve, right?
Yeah.
It's over, Dylan. Just give up. Trade me some of your guys for next year's picks, maybe. I don't know.
I might have to. No, I don't want Leonard Fournette. Never mind.
No, you don't. No. You know, it might be a bad omen just to trade for any of these guys because they're in such a culture of losing that just bring your team down.
You gotta think
Not
about
exactly
that.
the big culture of winning yet. So
Well, I mean, I imagine they lost all faith when their owner dropped Miles Sanders. They're just like, oh, fuck it. We're not playing anymore. We give up.
just to let you guys know, he dropped Tevin Coleman in the other league.
No,
I picked him up.
Wow.
That's fucked up. I'm very questionable about his moves this year, which is fucked up because he won our league the last 2 years.
That just...
What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know how we let Kramer become an analyst on this channel. Don't ask me. I apologize. Well, that's your power ranking. So, recap. We got Matt, Kyle, and PJack. Number 3, AK. Number 4, Ryan, Lake, Kramer.
Disrespect.
Then
At least
Hunter.
I'm right next to my brother. That's fine.
Hunter surpassing AJ because of AJ's convincing. Then AJ. Cameron, Tony, Andrew. And then there's about 50 spots that I put with no names. And then I put Dylan at number 52. So, if everybody's okay with that.
That's fine.
So those are your first power rankings. We'll do it at the halfway point and then before playoffs. And then there's no really use for power rankings once I get crowned the champion at the end of the playoffs. So,
God damn. Are you done like stroking yourself on this podcast, or can we?
Yeah, because
Well,
it's
we
like
could
late
get-
and I need to actually stroke myself.
exactly. We'll take a quick look at the matchups coming up, and this is where stroking stops because I think I'm going to be handed my first
Hey.
loss this week at the hands of Kyle. Carson and Gurley played great. On top of that, Zerline was an inch away from freaking 17 points on the week. I like my team this week, but he is off to a great start, and I think Diggs is going to get 35 targets as we beg for him not to request the trade. So
Yeah. I always think something that I always think is big in fantasy football is when projections are pretty close, the person that has their points already.
oh yeah, especially
huge.
Sleeper.
Yeah.
The way Sleeper does their projections, there's some things I've noticed. That for sure is the team who has the points is usually going to be ahead because I think they overproject. And then for some reason, when it hits the fourth quarter, it's like they only project like a
there's-
half point more for the
Yeah.
player no matter what,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure why they do that.
Yeah.
So if you ever look at like in the morning in the fourth quarter and you're ahead and you're thinking, oh, I'm in a great position, you realize that's because everybody being projected on the other teams like, oh, they have 16 points, they're going to score 16.02 the rest of the fourth.
By the way, there's only 2 midday games this week.
yeah, it's so weird.
It's
week.
fucked up. Fucked up.
I need 2 red zone channels. I'm not excited for them having like 8 games on and I can't even
Yeah,
freaking
I
see them
know.
on my TV.
Can't watch any of my players.
Moving on, Kramer and Dylan. We're not talking about this matchup. Kramer's going to win.
Cooper
Moving on,
Kupp,
AJ and Ryan.
17 target. Okay.
A little bit of a close game. AJ needs to win this week, and it did not start off well with Robert Woods only scoring 7.5.
Robert Woods, I will say, is like Chris Godwin last year, where I think Chris Godwin would have been an elite wide receiver last year if Jameis Winston wasn't a fucking trash quarterback and could actually hit Chris Godwin. Robert Woods, I don't think I've seen a single player with more like just bad balls thrown his way. It's ridiculous.
It's a combination of two things. I think, like you said, it's like he's not getting good quarterback play. It's just like McVay hates him all of a sudden. The routes he's
Well-
calling for him are not successful routes, and they're not high-scoring routes. It's like
Well, it's just
run a
it's just
5-yard
weird,
out.
Like
On the
every time Cooper Kupp gets a target, it's like directly fucking on him.
Which is 17 fucking times, by the way.
Jerry,
But then
okay.
every time Robert Woods gets a target, it's like thrown like a yard or two behind him. It's like, why?
Yeah,
I have
then when he
Woods
does
in
do
another league, and
something-
it's just so frustrating to watch.
And then when he does do something, they end up getting a flag anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Oh my
no.
God, he's
Like
got
I said,
so many points taken away from him.
Week
this year.
2, he lost 22 total points on 3 flags. To remind everybody, 22 total points, 100 yards, a touchdown, or more than 100 yards and a touchdown, 160 yards and a touchdown. Anyway, you need Mike Evans to go big. What you would not be looking forward to is I think Hopkins finally has this breakout week.
Yeah, and
it's
that's
like
going to
a
happen.
40-point week for
Just so it's laid out there. Yeah, it's fucking happening. We're looking at 40 points.
Also,
for the game.
Yeah.
Chicago's D is going to outscore your entire team alone against Oakland, so have fun with that. Cameron and Lake scoring the
Woo!
37 points with Russell
Russ.
Wilson. Luckily, the Rams
I
only
don't know
scored
why.
30.
I don't know why he started that Rams D.
It's because he
Those are
doesn't
things
make
that
moves.
you don't learn until
Yeah.
you've played fantasy football. Is never play your quarterback against your defense.
It's a win-win, dude. No matter what,
It's a
you somehow
lose-lose.
come out on top, right?
You either do well with your quarterback and fuck your defense over, or do well with your defense and fuck your quarterback.
No,
over,
it's
so,
the classic. The running back scores all the points, and then you get both.
yeah, no. Russ is
do-
looking like a fucking god, though.
Oh yeah, Russell Wilson's incredible. He's probably the second best quarterback in the league right now.
I'm just happy that it seems like they're actually. Oh, I think it's that they're actually like throwing the fucking ball now instead of just running it 8 times when they don't need to. So
Yeah, Kramer. Sorry, I need to play my hold up trap card. Did AJ just say Russell Wilson's better than Patrick Mahomes? And he muted himself.
I mean,
All right.
like currently, I would say. I think Russ is the number 1 quarterback right now, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, points wise, he's the number 1 quarterback, and yeah, I think he's playing like okay. We know what's in Patrick Mahomes' bag, right? He has an insane amount of tricks, but as far as like playing the game goes, yeah, I think he's making smarter decisions and playing better football. It's just that he's fucking handicapped by an absolutely awful decision-making coach in Pete Carroll and
I think it's
an
just
awful OC
offensive
and Schottenheimer.
coordinators. Yeah, but I mean, it's been better this year. But I definitely think
It's better when it has to be. You know,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
that's kind of been the Hawks' MO is, hey, let's do nothing for like 3 quarters, and then at the end look at Russ and be like, well, do you want to go like win this game for us, please, please, please?
Hey, go ahead. We're gonna take the reins off you.
I think Lake ends up going 5-0 and taking over the first place spot this week.
Woo!
He has a great,
And he's fucking 5 in the power rankings.
yeah,
thought he was
because
5 or
he's
6.
gonna drop off these coming weeks. Trust me.
Damn.
Cameron does have a chance, but it's not a great one. I just think Lake's power this week and the matchups are very much in his favor. Especially looking like it's just everywhere you look. Like David Johnson's gonna have a good game. Derrick Henry. Last time they played Buffalo, he had a great game despite them having a good D. OBJ against SF is whatever. Keenan Allen's still gonna get a bunch of targets. Minnesota constantly, when they play a bad team, give up 30 points to the tight end in the fourth quarter.
OBJ and Keenan Allen against San Fran and Denver are actually 2 pretty bad
I don't
matchups.
think so.
They're both projected middle ground. OBJ has to go. I
OBJ's
guess he
gonna
won't
be
be
fine.
going
I
up
think
against
Keenan Allen's
Richard
fine,
Sherman
too.
most of the time. But the San Francisco defense has been super good this year. But I
It's
don't know if it's just because they haven't played anyone. But
It's been lucky. I think Eckler and Melvin Gordon are both startable this week. That's how I feel about the San Francisco or Denver's rush defense, especially Chubb out.
oh yeah,
I also Nick Chubb, start him up. I don't know his price in DFS, but if it's cheaper because they for some reason SFCs are rated highly, their run defense isn't good. They've just been again lucky. This might be closer than you think, but again, taking Lake, Tony, and I'm not Jeremy Lin and Andrew. The battle of the mediocrity. I don't know what to say, guys. Help me out here. Jacoby Brissett
this
might
looks
score a lot against
close.
Kansas City.
I might
Yeah,
actually.
that was a hell of a pick.
I'm sorry, but I might actually. Andrew's team looks a little bit more dangerous, I guess.
No, I'm going Tony. I'm going Tony.
I guess Le'Veon Bell against Philadelphia. Philadelphia is like one of the worst matchups for running backs right now.
Yeah.
But Le'Veon Bell's still very active in the receiving game, so he'll still get his points.
Well,
David
Darnold-
Montgomery
Sam
has a great
Darnold's
matchup
not
against
playing this week.
Oakland.
He's not going to score a lot.
Yeah.
I like
Julio
Darnold.
Jones
Past
against
the 50.
Houston, though, is going to probably score 30 points. Godwin against New Orleans will probably score 30. They'll cancel each other out.
Yeah.
It should be a good
I-
matchup, actually. It's
if
going to
you-
be close, I think.
If you look lower, I'm definitely taking Son over Tyrell, and I'm taking Michael Thomas over Brown. Like, that's going to be a big difference. I think there's going to be a lot canceling out towards
Yeah.
the top here, and that's where Tony's going to win the game.
But
Quickly,
Rodgers versus Brissett.
moving on to AK and Hunter. Projected pretty close game. Hunter did get 13 out of Lockett, 10 out of Disley. Not great, but definitely not bad. Probably better than what Walker's going to do. We'll have to see about Edelman. Again, this is going to be a close game. I do give it to AK this week just due to forced to play Lindsey and Mecole Hardman. It's honestly going to come down, does Mecole get a 100-yard TD this week? Who knows? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Kansas City offense, man. It's crazy.
It's a weird thing. I actually don't think McCaffrey has a great week against Jacksonville.
Really?
Yeah.
I think he's fine, dude.
It's not I'm not saying it's not a great Christian McCaffrey week, which has so far been a 35-point game. Like, I'm expecting
Oh,
like
no.
a 20, 22.
I guess Tampa Bay balled them up, and they were a pretty good
That
rush
was Cam,
defense.
though. That
Jacksonville
was Cam just
isn't as good as Tampa Bay, but yeah, probably like a fucking
But the-
17-point week or something.
The way you're going to beat Jacksonville right now is their secondary, and it's just they're going to try and force Kyle Allen to win the game anyway. I just think it's going to you're going to try and force Christian McCaffrey out of it. And again, I'm not saying he's going to have a bust week, but it's not going to be the consistent like 30 points that Hunter's been relying on. Anyway, I'm going with AK. You guys can pick whoever you want to pick.
Yeah, I'd probably go okay.
All right.
Thanks, Hunter.
All right.
Oh.
Ooh. All right. Well, I've said all right 5 or 6 times already.
All right.
All right, I'm Matthew McConaughey now.
All right. Hey, now, ladies.
You're probably watching this Sunday morning because it's so freaking late already. So if you are, head over to our live stream. It's probably on right now as you're watching. 8:30 a.m. every single week. I think that's honestly been some of our best content so far. A lot of
Give
great
you
discussion.
Bad information.
No, we
Like starting Demarcus Robinson over. Who did we tell him? I think it was the wrong decision, but
It wasn't one where it was
Darrell
like, oh no, the
Williams.
other guy
No.
went off. Darrell Williams ended up getting 14. DeMarcus got 4. Like, yeah, he's fine. No, I don't think we said DeMarcus over Darrell Williams. I
No.
did it. No way. That was
No way
high
I
on
would've
Darrell.
either.
Yeah, Matt was calling Darrell Williams a RB1 last week. He was saying like 2 touchdowns, 100 yards.
He scored 2
scripted
touchdowns
plays for him. I know he did. I know he did.
on 7
you were-
yards.
Hey, yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah, I made a lot of good calls. It didn't add up in DFS, especially with the Jacobs. Basically, didn't do enough with how well a lot of the other running backs ended up playing. So, anyway, see you guys next time. Hopefully, you're watching the live stream. Hoping you're enjoying the Fantasy Boys League, brought to you by High Motor Fantasy, and anybody else who would want to sponsor this atrocity of a YouTube channel. See you guys later.
later.
See ya.